In the booklet that I would also talk about the work of these designers, but I'm not, so I'm just going to show their names in big letters. Flight was designed for Letraset in 1994. I drew the forms very quickly with a pencil, and then I put some more graphite on the bones using a technique I stole from Hermann Zapf, which he stole from Cresci. These are some of the more final drawings, and that's the type. When I was 14, I wrote to Storm Thorgerson, who I thought to be the designer of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, saying that I wanted to be a graphic designer just like him. Storm sent a lovely reply and told me to keep taking the tablets. I later realised that a lot of Storm's best work was done by George Hardy, and so had to transfer some of the hero worship over. But I was quite excited when a few years ago I noticed that Storm had used Flight for his sleeve for Richard Wright's Broken China. And no less excited when I discovered this handsome postcard in a local shop. In the summer of 1993, I sent an envelope of drawings to Colin Brignall, type director at Letraset. Colin sent a bit of the envelope back and asked if I could design a whole typeface in the same style. These originals were written with a ruling pen, and some of them went straight into the typeface. And then the other ones from the type. And then the rest of them I had cheated. So I drew them. I knew the kind of letters that I wanted from many years of using the ruling pen, and so I cheated and drew them with a felt pen and filled them in. And they made it straight to type with very little editing, or they made it to type with very little editing. And even kept some of their discretionary roughness. A little bit later I drew around the outlines in the spirit of discretionary smoothness and made the typeface Airstream for Letraset's sister company ITC. So there we've got the two siblings united. In 1988, I designed Ruach for Letraset. The letters were made with an old typewriter cleaning brush. And in the case of this H, which I wrote in 3 strokes, I wasn't happy with the balance of it. It didn't look right to me. But when I turned it upside down, it looked a lot better. So that's how it stayed. And that's how it is when you type H on your keyboard if you've got Ruach. More cheating went on with R. I didn't like the tail, so I stuck a different one on. Just about see that. Was it better on the previous one? Yeah, you can see it better there. And I added bits of white, you can see up here. And then a bit more black, and then more white and black here. And it appeared in dry transfer form. In the mid-90s I owned 2 sheds, and I covered the doors of these with letters. I kept going out to the sheds to look at the letters. So when my wife began to get suspicious, I had to pretend I was making a typeface out of them. Oh, you can't see those at all. And probably not these. Oh, a little bit better. I needed some extra characters, so I started making them with a flat brush, using pressure on a flat brush. as opposed to pressure on a pointed brush, and digitised it, called it Rambo. That's Artur Rambo, not Sylvester Stallone, and sent it to the Morisawa competition, where it won a prize. And also enjoyed a brief moment of glory as the official typeface for the A-Type I 1997 conference, until it was replaced with something more tasteful. I haven't got a slide of this, but you can go and get a PDF of the whole thing, which would take too long to talk about. So that's the URL. I think you might like it. If you can't remember that, just go to my website and you can find it quite easily from there. I really wish I'd been shown this picture by my school's careers advisor. About 15 years ago, I discovered Kazuaki Tanahashi. He featured in Luke Holland's film on Thursday evening about Gale and Ditchling. And he didn't do it in the film, but he makes these monumental single-line paintings with buckets of ink and enormous self-made brushes. He's a real action man. I wanted to do something similar. So at the last A-Type I conference, to be held in Britain, Reading 1997, I created the world's biggest hamburger fonts, which was a line of writing that filled the Student Union Hall. It took 3 hours to set up and then 3 minutes to make. I was assisted by the lovely Phil Grimshaw, who you can see moving my ink pot. Incidentally, Phil was the designer of the U that was causing so much consternation to Ditchling residents in Luke Holland's film. He would have loved it. This is the same thing, oh well, it's not the same thing obviously, but it's a similar thing at the A-Type I conference in Prague 2004. I'm very interested in making letters that are bigger than me, but in a writing sense, not a lettering sense. In this situation, I can't get a total overview of the letter. In the case of letters that extend, the stroke being made will often finish somewhere behind me, meaning that I am writing with my feet and forced to rely on my own mental image of the letter, something that I'm trying to work into a theory called writing in the mind's eye. This is the brush for the Reading performance. It's 4 6-inch brushes bolted together. This is the brush for the Prague performance, which got me into trouble at the airport. I like to create large texts whenever possible, often with the text being generated by a group of people and a certain set of circumstances. This is the audience-generated narrative at the Imagine It conference in Bologna this year. There's quite a good documentation of it on my website if you'd like to see more. There's a little bit of it. This is Spinal Flat, which was created during the Hay Festival in a chapel in Wales. People contributed the titles of their favourite books, and then over 3 days they were written to the floor as a stack of spines. Many calligraphers would like to be sculptors, and I think possibly that many sculptors are also very keen on calligraphy. Which ones are calligraphy and which ones are sculpture? Anyway, this is something that now I want to do, the convergence of the two. I'm very interested in making 3-dimensional letters, making real letter forms, because what we've been looking at are really letter shapes. And I want to make the coastal alphabet. and it's sort of documented here on the home page. Please go and have a look. These are a couple of early maquettes. This is 3M, which if you turn it upside down can also be www. And this is A440, which actually, when you hit it, it resonates at A, or 440 Hertz. So the idea is to make these much bigger. There's the website. It's just a home page at the moment, but there's going to be more stuff there soon. And that's it. Thank you.